Good evening everybody and welcome to VTTalk. Tonight, as you can see, I've got a very special guest. I've got the brilliant reviewer, Scott. Mr. Bonner sitting over there. Shout hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Hi,
Hello,
Scott.
everybody.
And Sav's over there keeping an eye on your questions and passing them over to everybody. Yep. So hopefully it's going to be a fabulous night because we want all your questions in. Don't send them by PM if you can help it, please. Just type them in with a massive queue and Sav will come along or even Del Boy, who's helping us out tonight, and we'll get these questions over to Scott. Scott's in a menthol bottle, as you may have noticed. Yes, it's been pointed out, and he's there for a reason. He's there for a reason that I know. So get your questions flowing. We've got one or two already on the go, and hopefully everything will go well. Now tonight I can't hear what's going on in chat, and we've got a little bit of a delay, what you can see. But will somebody type into chat that they can hear this okay, please? So I'm waiting for somebody to do that, and then we'll move on and we'll start with the questions. There's definitely a delay, so we're going to take it that they can hear, or somebody would be shouting and bawling by now. And they're not.
No, it seems to be working fine.
Seems to be working fine. So we'll have to take it for granted. We've got a bit of a delay going on, and it's taken them a while to hear. So bear that in mind, people in chat. Yes, they can hear us. Hey.
Yeah.
So we have got a bit of a delay going on. So anyway, we're going to make the most of having Scott with us, and we're going to throw the questions at him, and let's see where we go from there. So Sav, can we have question number 1, please?
Yes, the first question we got in tonight was from Seabiscuit, which says, what's the most unusual mod you've been asked to review?
Interesting.
For Darwin, probably. It looks wise anyway. I can't really sort of think of anything that's been sort of too unusual. No, I can't really sort of think of anything that's I would class as particularly unusual. Maybe, I suppose, at a long shot, the integrity. I suppose that's about it, really. But I'm not sure if I really class that as unusual.
Right. Are you talking about is that the integrity from Dave's devices?
Yeah, Dave's devices, yeah.
Right. I mean, that was quite revolutionary when Dave first brought it on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's an auto feed as well. Is it a bottom feed or a top feed?
Yeah, you have to squeeze the bottle to feed the juice to the ecig. But at the time, though, there was, as far as I can remember, there wasn't that much else around like that. So it's all very exciting stuff.
Well, there you go. There you go. Marky D's just said Scott looks tense. He needs a toot on me Darwin.
I'll be relaxed and chilled out in a bit. That's
He looks very relaxed to me. Honestly, he does. Right, next question, Sav.
Well, as the Darwin was brought up, we might as well get this one out of the way. This is by Shieldsy70 saying, Scott, did you buy the Darwin after you liked it so much in your review?
I bought 2 actually. I was that impressed with it, so I bought 2 just for a spare one to stand by. No, it just wasn't something for me. It just didn't appeal to me at all. And it's probably one of the only devices that I really didn't enjoy using it at all. And it's just one of those things. Obviously I don't want to upset any Darwin owners. I see there's probably a few in the chat room at the moment.
Well, you're talking to 2.
But it just wasn't one. Just wasn't one for me. All the electronics, the battery life, its performance, spot on. You can't fault that. But just the looks and just the way it felt in the hand. It just didn't do nothing for me, really.
Right.
Fortunately.
I just interrupted. They're saying that you're a bit quiet, Scott. Is there a way of turning your mic up a little bit?
Broadcasting now. Any better?
I think so, yeah.
Can everybody hear now?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's better.
That's better.
Right, we'll move on, and if it's not, they'll give me a holler. Right, question from Del Boy. And Del Boy is going to get a smack in the mouth for this question off me. Scott, do you think all gooseneck users are tits, or do they just look like tits?
I'm not going to answer that one. That's because it's a bit of an unfair question. But yeah, again, it just wasn't one for me personally, you know. And each to their own. And if people like using those and looking like that, then you know, it's up to them, isn't it? But for me personally, it just seemed like a pretty ridiculous bit of e-cig accessory. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Sav bought one, you know.
It comes in handy. It does come in handy.
Yeah.
When she's in a really lazy mood,
Yeah.
she uses that damn gooseneck, and it's her way of saying, I can't be bothered to lift my arm up. And that's the only use I can see for that.
That's exactly its use. Because if I'm sitting on the PC, I tend to do a bit of gaming on the PC, so I sit with my arm resting, and I don't have to move my arm to vape because the gooseneck reaches me mouth.
Yeah, well, there you go. And I must admit, Dorinthium has one, and he's attached it to a pipe. And that looks good. That's the first time I've seen it look good.
What's he done to it?
He's attached it to a pipe. So
right.
he's actually got the bowl of a pipe and attached the gooseneck to him. He looks like Sherlock Holmes when he's got that on the go. Really looks good.
That could be a take on it, I think. Yeah, probably a little bit better.
Guys and gals, the reason that you're getting sound differences is because I'm not clever enough to use a bit of software called Soundflower, because I can't use earphones, okay? And that's why you're hearing me loud, because Scott and Sav are having to talk through my computer. So that is the problem. I'll try and get them a little bit, I'll talk quietly. Because if it's me, and it probably is, then that's why you're hearing it like that. Okay? I've got the sound up as high as I can on Skype. So apologies for that. I'll start talking quieter, so I don't deafen you all. Okay? So I'm a bit of a loudmouth. Right, Sav, next question.
Right, the next question is from Sam Monroe with a question saying, what is your all-day vape, Scott?
Well, I'd say the one that I use the most, as in like device, is probably the Pro-Vari. That is my definitely one of my favourites, and along the Bully A2T, which I purchased about 2 or 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. You know, I've really fallen in love with it. I think it's a brilliant little sort of add-on on that, and you know, it does hit the spot for me. So I've not used anything else since then, really. So the Pro-Vari and the Bully A2T with a bit of either the Titan Fluid tobacco from Totally Wicked or any old menthol, and I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Do you know?
I like other things as well. You know, like I've got bought the Dom the other day, and I'm quite enjoying that as well. And I was using the Icon all day yesterday. You know, so I've got quite a few favourites, but I suppose if I had to sort of pick one, then it would have to be the Pro-Vari.
Do you not find that the Pro-Vari is more of a man's favourite? There does seem to be, you know, a distinct difference. It's mostly men that like them, and same with the Bully.
I think you're probably correct. I don't know any ladies who have actually got a Pro-Vari.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're probably very right.
Yeah, because I mean,
to the men for some reason.
I'm going to go back to the Darwin and say why Sav and I bought it. Because when everybody was talking about these damned ohms, which has become the in thing, in the last 12 months, everybody's on about ohms and amps and watts and all this sort of rubbish. Yeah. And I hate it. I hate all that. I've no idea what they are. I cannot use a multimeter. I did try. And all the lectures I keep getting, and I still can't get the hang of all this. Whereas with this thing, I don't need to. I just simply turn the dial, and when it tastes right, I vape on it. And then if somebody asks me the question, what arm is that? I can look at it and find out.
Yeah.
So there's a great deal of that amongst vapors as well. The ones that don't want to know the arms, perhaps go for something like the Darwin.
Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
Willow in chat has just pointed out about why ladies don't like the Provari, and she says because it looks like an Ann Summers device.
It does. It does. And I don't want to be asked if it is an Ann Summers device that I'm vaping on.
I can understand that could be quite embarrassing in public, yeah.
It could, couldn't it? And this is what you're going to get, you know, that everybody's opinion on every device out there as to what looks good and what doesn't. I mean, I've got the GG, you know, the GGTS. Now, the very first GG I bought was, I've still got it around here somewhere, there it is, was the GG Transformer.
Yeah.
And I bought that because I thought it was a work of art. It was beautiful to look at, you know. And that was an example of buying something that cost quite a bit of money, and they still do, because I like the look of it. And yet a lot of people hate the look of them, don't they?
Oh, no, I like them myself.
You're a GG man.
Hey, just go 1 second, Cat. I've got to let the cat out.
No bother. No bother. But that's the way it goes. The apex is ribbed. That's even worse.
Yeah, I don't want a rib device, no.
Sam Monroe, that makes it even worse.
Yes.
Right, next question. Sav, please,
Right,
before I get gassing.
The next question is from John Bon Jovi, and he says, I quit tobacco and started vaping because of you, so thank you, Scott. I started on a Tech 510 PCC over 2 years ago. Do you expect that a good review can increase sales? Same can be said that a bad review can damage sales. And do you think vendors are becoming nervous about sending you juice and devices?
Well, I think common sense just says, if you're gonna, if a review is positive, then it is going to obviously affect their sales in a positive way. And the same thing if whether regardless of whether it's me or any review, if you post a negative review, then it could have a negative effect in their sales. But I'll always remember, with the Igetcha Micro, a few years ago, and that got a very negative review from me, and mainly because it actually stopped working halfway through the review. But even to this day now, I still get people contact me and say, hi Scott, I watched your review on the Igetcha Micro, and I ended up buying one. So there's no such thing as bad publicity. But if you're gonna, if a reviewer does a positive review, then it's definitely going to increase the chances of sales for that supplier. And obviously, if you do a negative review, then obviously it's going to more likely to have a negative effect. What's the last bit of the question?
Do you think vendors are nervous about sending you juice and devices?
I didn't think they was. They might be after seeing that Darwin review, but no, I don't think so. I still get plenty of suppliers contacting me, and pretty much weekly, really. So I don't think there's too much of a problem. And I'm quite an easily pleased person, really. So I shouldn't be sort of too worried. Just try and sort of point out what I like and point out what I dislike, and just keep it balanced. So.
Yeah. I mean, don't you find though, anyway, that new people, I know I'm certainly going by when I was new. Yes, I watched your reviews and they were very influential on me, but I also watched the reviews of others.
Yeah.
And, obviously there are two main reviewers that I always think of. And you are one of them, and the other one is Grim Green over in the States.
Yeah.
And I'll watch both, and very often, if both of those agree on a point, then that point to me is obviously going to be something quite valid I need to think about when I'm purchasing something. But when a reviewer gives an opinion, as you frequently do, on something that you don't like, i.e. the Darwin, the looks of it, that's not going to influence me whether I buy it or not. I'm going to look at that review and think, wait, yeah, but I like the look of that.
Exactly.
And I would still buy it, wouldn't I?
Yeah. And also another thing, you should never just rely on one person's opinions anyway. And just because I don't like something, or because I really do like something, you should always go and watch other people's reviews anyway. And like if I, with electronic cigarettes or anything really, if I want to or interested in making a purchase or something, I'll go and watch as many reviews as I possibly can, and then get like the general opinion really before I sort of decide to part with my cash. You should never just because like I don't like something or I do like something. You shouldn't take that for gospel. Go and do your research and see what other people think.
Yeah. I always find reviews are amazingly useful, especially when something new comes on the market, because it's the one chance you have of having a really close look at something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that never ends. It doesn't matter how experienced a vapor you are. When something new comes out, you want to watch as many videos as possible of that product.
Yeah.
And see what it's all about, don't you? I mean,
that's right, yeah.
It's the same with us on VTTV. I'll get something, say Roadhog has the same product, and we'll look at it, but the opinions will be totally different because we don't sit and say, right, what we're going to say about this. That would be wrong. The whole thing that we'll have to do, all of us have got a duty to do that, is to speak honestly about something. Isn't that right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I've even forgotten the question that I started ranting on about. What's next, Sav?
Right, the next question, I don't know who it's from because I deleted the name by mistake, but it's again for Scott. What device have you most wished had worked better than it did?
I don't know.
All of them.
I mean, like the Kamuchi Micro, I suppose, when they didn't work at all. But to be quite honest, just about everything I reviewed has worked up to an extent where it's perfectly usable. So, and it's like enough to sort of keep you want to reach out for a cigarette. So I don't really think there's anything particularly where I thought, well, I wish it was 100 times better sort of thing. But I can't really not really got a decent answer for that question, unfortunately.
Are you not the same as us though, that you're still looking for perfection?
I think everything's always going to continue to keep on improving. Like every time sort of thing, I don't think they can make anything better now. Then all of a sudden something else comes out, And at the moment, I think you've got variable voltage, you've got variable wattage, and that. What can they possibly do next? And I'm sure there will be. 6 months' time, we'll be raving about something completely different, probably. And variable voltage and variable wattage will be like old hat, probably.
Yeah, because things have moved on a hell of a lot, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, I remember when I first started vaping, and when I was on the ECF forum, I posted about the Mirage, and I explained that it comes with red light, green light technology, and that was basically you had one battery which was red, one battery which had a green LED, and people was going nuts about it. They was going, that's amazing. Imagine if you said that now. Yeah, I've got this new e-cig. It's got red light, green light technology. People going, what the hell are you on about?
Yeah.
It's completely different now, and that's just in like a space of like 3.5 years, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, sorry at the moment, but I've got a little bit of distortions come in on the picture, so we shall move again to camera. There we go, a little bit better. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you on that. Things are moving very, very fast, and it's probably a bit of a concern as to where we're going to be in a year's time with BAT, British American Tobacco, talking about this perfect cigarette replacement that they're going to be producing. Lord knows what we'll be doing in a year's time.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I don't really know too much about that, what you mentioned, but from what I did read, it just sounds like it's a bit of a sort of glorified inhaler.
It does, doesn't it?
Which I can't really see, putting an end to e-cigs, really.
Mm. Well, I hope it doesn't, because, they're going out of their way to make it awkward.
Yeah.
For us as vapors, and I really don't want that to be taken away because it's something unique, isn't it? And I don't mean the actual vaping equipment, but the people that gather together, the vapors themselves, those that come on forums and go to the meets and all these sort of things, they're absolutely fabulous people. And we're all sort of, when I was at Vape Fest last year, I walked in and you're talking about 70 people you've never met in your life,
but
they're instantly your friends. You have things in common. I don't want to lose that. You never had that with cigarettes, did we?
No, definitely not, no.
And that's something very special.
It's a nice little sort of, I don't know what's the word, like niche, I suppose, isn't it? I think in a way, if it did go like really mainstream, it'd almost sort of spoil it a little bit, I think.
I know.
But,
I fully agree with you on that one. I mean, I remember when I first met you, Mr. Bonner. Igetcha 69 then, not just Igetcha, over at the TW forum, and there were so few of us. And I mean, there was Gary, there was you, there was Crossbow, the lovely Moog, and so many nice people, and the fun and laughter we used to have was absolutely brilliant. And I couldn't believe that sort of community could exist. And
was that the first forum you joined, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, joined
so
TW.
You bypassed ECF, did you?
I had a look, but even then, you know, and I'm just like 6 months, well, probably about 9 months behind you. It had changed. It had already started to get the American market in, and I joined ECF. But I didn't have the guts to post. I was too nervous to post. And then I think I'd probably watched something where you mentioned TW, and I went and joined that forum. And it was totally different. It was just really, really, really friendly and what have you.
Yeah.
You know, and then UKV started, and again, friendly, lovely forum. And look at we now. Old farts now. That's what we are.
Old timers.
Yeah, in the world of vaping. Anyway, I'm taking over the conversation again. Any more questions there, Sav?
Yes, so we've got loads of questions. Question from Rusty. Scott, you are a vape god, and your reviews have encouraged many smokers to take up vaping. Who were the people who helped you when you first started?
I appreciate the compliment, Rusty, but I'm not a vape god at all. I'm just a normal chap. But anyway, when I first started, there wasn't really that many people about, and I joined the ECF forum. And at the time there, and I think now there's something like 70,000 members, but at the time when I was there, there's sort of less than 200. And the only sort of person I can really sort of sticks out in my mind who actually sort of helped me was Kate. You know, the always has an avatar as a nun. And she hates me now though, but at the time, like, she was quite nice to me. And you know, she helped me out. She answered my questions, and I remember she was the first person to ever sort of send me a few bits and pieces in the post. You know, I can't remember how it happened, but you know, she just contacted me and said, "Oh, well, I see you're beginning." And she sent me out a load of cartridges and I think maybe an atomizer and that. You know, so that's the first person who really sort of sticks in my mind as sort of helping me out. And if it wasn't for her, I would never even start reviewing as well, actually. So probably owe her quite a lot, really.
That's what I mean, though. That's what I'm talking about. That camaraderie that was there. You know?
Yeah, it was lovely. ECF was a fantastic forum when it was really nice and small. And I remember I'd been a member there for about a month, and then it crashed. And for about 2 weeks, like, nobody could sort of get on. And like, and I was really having withdrawal symptoms. You know, I was really getting the shakes and sort of logging in every time, like, make sure it was still there. And you know, it's massive relief when it comes back online. You know? Yeah, it's quite strange, really.
That was.
But then it got too big for its own good. I mean, I still use ECF, but it's so big now. It's hard to actually sort of find things because there's just too much information there almost. You know.
Yeah. I was reminiscing about ECF a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about that wonderful thread. Now you will remember this between Trog and Imio. Do you remember that thread that went on for about a year?
I don't remember that actually.
You don't?
No.
Oh, it's hysterical.
I have never laughed so much, and every day I used to log in just to see how that argument was going. When Trog was talking... Trog, oh, you're going to have to look it up now.
Yeah, I will do, yeah.
But I'm warning you, It's like War and Peace, and it'll take you longer to read than the Bible because it's the biggest thread of all time. And the two of them arguing about whether mechanical or electrical was better. And that's all it was about.
But don't they both like mechanical though, didn't they?
Yes, but Trog had a little circuit board. Didn't do no, but he had a circuit board. And the two of them arguing about this, and that's how the GG was born. Because Imio argued that he could do it and it was better and all this, but it was the funniest thread I've ever read. And
so that's what started all the GG stuff up then, wasn't
it? Yeah. You must go and look that one up because it really is brilliant. Yeah. And I've loved Trog ever since through that because it was absolutely brilliant. I love the pair of them, but really, really, really funny. But ECF, yeah, it's the library, isn't it? That's what it is these days. I mean, when the big bust-up happened and we got so many that disappeared, so many of the old-timers, including Kate, that was sad, but it happened and things move on, don't they?
Yeah, I can remember that argument which ended up with sort of Kate getting the boot. It was all about that, what's his name, Parker or Park, something like that.
Yeah.
He was a reviewer, and then it transpired that he was also running a website and that as well, and at the time, that was just like, the biggest scandal ever. But when you look back at it now, you just think, well, it's not really that much of a big deal, really, is it? But yeah, at the time, no. Because there was so much, it's all conspiracy theories and that left, right, and centre back in those days. Like a witch hunt.
That was funny. I remember that.
But these days, you sit back and you've seen it all, and you just laugh and you say, "Yeah, been here before, seen all this before." You don't take any notice, do you? No. Not really. Anyway, next question, Sav.
Right, question from Zola. I have a 5-volt pass-through and a 5-volt box mod, which I know not to use low resistance on. I need a bit more welly, and I was wondering whether I can safely use low resistance on my 5-volt devices. I should know the answer to this, but I don't.
Well, I'm one of these people that if I want to sort of see if it works, I'll just try it. And if it works, then it works, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But I know you're not meant to use low resistance atomizers at 5 volts, but I've gone up that high when I'm using my Pro Vary, and I'm still sitting there at the moment. I've not blown myself up or anything, but that's probably the safest advice I should be really giving. Really, I should probably say no, don't do it. But at your own risk. But I've gone up that high with low resistance, and I've not had any problems. It doesn't taste particularly nice, but it should work fine. But you're probably not meant to do it. Worst advice ever.
To add to that question, she also says, is it possible for Scott to recommend a Carto for my 5-volt box mod and pass-through? I'm desperate for a good solid throat-hitting vape, and my present HRs aren't doing it.
What connection is it?
I think it's probably a 510. I think.
Well, for me personally, this is 5 volts, isn't it? You should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the Bode cartomizers, and I suppose they do I think it's the 3 ohm one. I think there's some sites that do sort of 2.4 ohms or 2.3, something like that. So if you get one of those with 5 volts, that should be pretty much hitting the sweet spot, really.
Excellent. Right.
Next, Sav.
Okay, I've lost my question. Hang on. Yes, question. Could Scott do a vid of his top 5 PVs and juices now that he has used so many for so long?
This is something I keep on meaning to do, and I probably 18 months ago I thought I must do a top 5 vid, because I get a lot of sort of emails and YouTube messages asking me that exact same sort of question. But to be quite honest, my sort of top 5, it changes so often because I buy new devices and that, and obviously I get I'm lucky enough to get things sent to me for review, and quite often as technology sort of increases or gets moves along and things get a little bit better, then my top 5 sort of changes as well. I mean, with regards to doing a top 5 e-liquids, you know, that'd be pretty boring to be like tobacco, menthol, tobacco, menthol, tobacco, you know. So I only really vape 2 flavours, and you know, so that probably wouldn't be the best idea to do a top 5. And again, like with e-liquids, it still comes down just because, you know, I could do a top 5, but somebody else could buy those and think these taste like garbage, you know. So the taste is so sort of subjective. But I probably will do a current top 5 of my favourite devices, and I'll try and sort of pull my finger out and get it done sometime this year.
Somebody asked us the same question, could we do a top 5 car doors? But like you think you've got a top 5 and then something else comes out and you think, I like that one better.
Yeah.
It's just changing all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
And it depends what device you're using as well, because the carton can work great on one device and then put it on something else and it doesn't work anywhere near as good. So
yeah, right, yeah.
You can never tell. Right, next question from Vapescape. Scott's review videos are always of excellent quality. What camera does he use?
Ah, good question.
I use a Panasonic HMC 150.
Did you write that down, Mark?
Panasonic HMC 150. Right, I've wrote it down.
Right. Another question from Rusty. You nearly always state on your videos that you use the e-cig like a real cig, 10 to 15 drags at a time. Is this still true?
It is, apart from maybe in the evenings. Like during the day, you know, I'm still in that very much a mindset of, you know, I've got to try and use electronic cigarettes to stop me from smoking, because, like, you know, I would go back to cigarettes like in a flash if I didn't have one of these in my hand, you know. So I have to sort of, for me, it's very much a psychological thing. So I do try and stick to that, because it's so easy to just sort of sit here and vape and vape and vape. But then I could vape here for 2 hours and just sort of think, oh, I've got that craving for a cigarette now, even though I'm, you know, probably overdosed on nicotine. It's just still that, it's that psychological thing. So it's important for me to sort of try and stick to that routine of, you know, when I feel like one, I'll go and, you know, grab this and have a few tokes on it. But in the evenings, you know, I'll probably do sort of find myself vaping a lot more than what I would do during the day. Like most of the time, you know, I'll go in the chat room and that, and everyone's got it in their hand there, so, you know, so you almost sort of feel obliged to sort of do it, you know. But yeah, I still try and stick to that sort of routine during the day at least. Anyway, definitely helps me personally.
Can I ask you what strength juice you use?
18 milligram.
Ah, right, same as me then. So you're not a 36 man.
No. Well, I started on 18 and I've never really sort of changed. Obviously, I have tried higher and lower, but the 18 just seems to be the right amount of, you know, flavour and throat hit, and enough to sort of, you know, stop you going crazy, you know. So.
Because menthol does give its own throat hit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, like, you know, a lot of people say, you know, they want to reduce their nicotine content to, like, you know, there's a lot of people want to go down to 0, you know.
Yeah.
But they still want that throat hit, and so the only thing I can ever really recommend for that is a really nice, strong menthol. At least you get that, still you get a little bit of that hit there, you know.
Absolutely. No, you're spot on there. Okay, Sav, next one.
Right, next question is from TH Jahar. What's going to be the next big thing in vaping?
I really don't know. It's just what we were saying earlier. I mean, like every time I think, you know, there's nothing more we can't take this any further now. This is like the pinnacle of vaping, and then, like, you know, next week something else comes out, and so at the moment, you know, you've got things like the Pro Variant, obviously like the Diamond with its variable wattage, and at the moment I really can't see what's going to sort of be improved on that unless it's making it sort of slightly smaller or something, you know. But I think really maybe the next thing will be sort of atomizers, more like the Bully, where it's, you know, going to be more sort of cost effective than that. But it's exciting, really. I'd love to know what's going to be the, like, you know, skip forward a year and see what we're all talking about then. It could be something completely different to what we're using at the moment.
It does seem surprising that we've had like an upsurge in interest in cigarette lookalikes lately, and we have, haven't we? Even people who have discarded them long ago are now trying them again.
Yeah. I think it could be because they've improved so much recently. You know,
Yeah,
like when I first started, you know, at the time it seemed, you know, fantastic to me. Like little like M401 with their poxy little carts that hold about 2 drops of juice. And at the time, that was fantastic. Whereas now, though, like if you go from like using something like this, then back to the LM401, you take like 2 drags, and then you've got to start filling it up again. It can be really disappointing. But you've got things like the Volt or the Sport, which obviously the same ones, but one's from America, and one's from the excuse me, the UK. Well, I think they're fantastic. They are.
Mm-hmm.
They give you plenty of vapour, and got pretty good battery life. Nice and easy to refill, and you could quite easily get just as much satisfaction out of one of those what you would do out of something like this.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right. Next question's from Dutch Angel. What's the difference between AA batteries and the battery I need for Gary's box mod thingy?
I really am not the best person when it comes to batteries now. I normally just sort of bluff my way through it whenever I talk about batteries. But I know Gary's in the chat room there. I think he's maybe better for Gary to answer that one.
Yeah, we'll get Gary on that one.
I think they're a lower voltage, aren't they? They're 1.5 volts, aren't they? They're just normal AA batteries.
Not a clue.
No, I wouldn't know either. I don't do batteries either.
Batteries.
Gary?
If they're an 18650, fine. But other than that, I don't know. Next question,
yeah, certainly only like 1.5 volts. Yeah, Gary's just confirmed that.
Yep.
Right, the next question is from Dorinthium, and it says, what's your opinion on mod finishes? Silver Bullet, SD plated or OCD, Ultramax and GG 2011, and how's the Galileo's finish holding up?
Galileo, I've done a bit of plastic stuck to it. It looks really nice. Still, actually, no tarnishing on it whatsoever. It's still exactly the same as how it was when I first got it, but obviously it does seem to be made out of a very sort of easily scratched aluminium. But I'm not overly sort of too fussed about that. But yeah, like tarnishing wise, it looks like brand new really in that sense. What was the other ones he was asking?
Silver Bullet and the Ultramax and the GG.
Ultramax is it's quite a strange one really, because when you get it, it looks very nice and shiny, but that really does tarnish very quickly. Literally after a day or so, you can start finding that it starts changing colour. But it actually tarnishes a really nice colour. I've not got it close around at the moment, so I can't really show you. But it goes more like
a blue, isn't it?
Well, I thought for me
like
it's more like a gunmetal sort of grey, and it looks actually it's quite nice really. And the GGTS for me, that is probably again one of my all-time favourites, and that was like what you could class as finished perfection for me personally. Anyway, I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I've not tried one of the new style ones that are out now. Obviously, I've got the original GGTS, and that's still to this day the only mod where I've actually sort of taken out the wrapper when I've received it from the postman, and my first thoughts were wow. I've never had that with any other device apart from that one. And for me, the materials used and the craftsmanship on that was absolutely spot on. And the Silver Bullet, I've still got the Silver Bullet somewhere. I've not used that for probably maybe a year now. But I do remember vaguely that that's quite a nice finish. And last time I did see it, actually, I don't think that had any sort of tarnishing on it either.
I never have.
Yeah, for me, the winner would definitely be something like the GGTS. The beautiful that did.
Well, certainly
if you call a mod beautiful, but
yeah, certainly the stainless steel one. I mean, I had the nickel plated one prior to this, and that tarnished something rotten, which was a big disappointment to me. The Silver Bullet, that takes some beating. It's beautiful. Yeah. There is a kitten running wild around here, by the way. If you see my set disappearing, that's why.
I saw a post over on ACF a couple of days ago with a guy who gold plated his GG and he did it two-tone in white gold and yellow gold.
Oh, right.
And I thought, well, I wouldn't go that far. It looked fabulous, but it must have cost him a fair bit.
Yeah, pretty would do, yeah.
It looked stunning when he had it put together with the two-tone. I thought, that looks gorgeous, but I'd be frightened to touch it in case I ruined the finish. Like, no,
absolutely.
Fabulous.
Absolutely. Right, we better move on.
This is a question from Jeff Benyon. Any comments or views on the Genesis atomizer?
I would do if I knew what a Genesis atomizer was. I've never heard of it. What's that then?
Not a clue.
Oh.
The Genesis.
Anyone?
So, if anyone in the chat wants to elaborate on what the Genesis is, feel free. Right, whilst we're waiting for that, we'll move on. Dutch Angel again is asking, have you ever done a review by a mod made by a Dutchie or any other sort of countries that we don't sort of hear so much of the mods from?
I know I've got one coming from Portugal. Obviously, the Galileo's from Italy. Is that what she was talking about? Is that what she meant?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And obviously, I think most of them are all from America, really, aren't they? There's not that many mod makers over here, apart from Gary Dibley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any, because...
it's a few French people.
French, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had many or any mods from Holland, have we?
Well, other than...
Cool,
isn't the chappie that makes the bully?
He's German.
German, is he? So it's German.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, right. Steve Max elaborated on the Genesis. He said it has steel mesh as a wick. They can't be made commercially.
Oh, right. So who makes them then?
Not sure. Delboy says the Genesis actually is like a bully but has stainless steel mesh for a wick. So I don't know. I think there was something on UKV about them, but I'm not 100% sure. Rady makes them. Rady's Genesis actually is a self-build, as in truly self-build. Uses a wire mesh as a wick, finely rolled to get it to wick. But from the people that have made it, it's stonking great. That was from Dorinthium.
Who is Rady? Is that like a forum member, is it?
I think he's on a forum. I'm not sure if he's American or if he's UK.
Oh, I'll have to do a bit of Googling after this and find out a bit more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How much are they? That's the thing.
Exactly. Rady's from ACF, apparently, according to Steve Mack. He's a German.
Oh, so he's made it like open sources. Anyone can make them. Is that right?
Apparently, there's a thread running on ACF and there's one on UK Vapors as well. He's a German engineer. So that could be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right, question from Marky D. As a menthol advocate, what is your favourite menthol juice, Scott?
Probably my all-time favourite has got to be the Eskimo from Libero.
Oh, that is gorgeous, yeah.
Really nice, strong menthol, and it's the spot that does. But you can pretty much, because obviously I think they're made by Decadent Vapors, and if you buy the Decadent Vapors menthol eucalyptus, you can pretty much make it up yourself, and it tastes almost exactly the same. So save a few bob then and all.
That's one of my favourites, is the mentholyptus Decadent Vapors. Oh,
yeah.
Love it.
The best cold cure there is.
Yeah.
We keep telling everybody that if you've got a cold, vape mentholyptus.
Saying that, I vape menthol, that one often, and I seem to get colds quite often as well. It seems to have the opposite effect on me.
You are, yeah, you're being awkward now. How are you doing for questions there, Sav?
Yeah, we've still got a couple more.
Right, okay.
Question from Richard. I'm sorry I've lost your last name. Again, it's about where do you see the future of vaping regarding mods, which I think we've pretty much covered that one.
Mm-hmm.
Rusty again. Rusty's been on fire with these questions tonight. What do you do with all the stuff that you have reviewed but do not use anymore?
Well, pretty much as soon as I finish doing a review, then I'll just send it out to somebody, and I don't charge them anything, and I tend to get a lot of emails like every week from people either asking questions now, but I get a lot of people also saying, "Oh, can you send me this out and send me that out?" And I've just got a big long waiting list now. So as soon as I finish reviewing something, then it goes out. I don't give every single thing away. Obviously, I keep a few bits for myself. That's just like one of the perks, isn't it? But things like my starter kits, e-liquid. Like I said, e-liquid. I only vape Titan tobacco or menthol, and so whenever I do e-liquid reviews, and as soon as I've done that, they'll just get sent off. Every starter kit that'll get sent off. Now, obviously, some of the nicer mods I'll keep to myself, but I give away quite a few of the mods and that as well. Once you've got there's only so many you can have, and if they're just going to be sitting in the drawer doing nothing, then might as well go to somebody else. Obviously, if I paid for it myself, then obviously I'm going to keep those ones. I'm going to give them away, but yeah, the free stuff, then obviously I've got no real need for them really, so they can go to good causes.
Well, this is it. If you can help somebody else on the vaping trail, why not?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's the way you got to think of it.
Yeah.
Okay, Sav, any more?
Right, yes. Scott, are you disappointed that there's a low number of people in the UK making variable voltage mods? And if there was, what would you like to see on it?
I think we definitely need more, not just variable voltage, but I think we definitely need more people in the UK actually sort of getting on a lathe and actually sort of churning out some decent quality mods. At the moment, we're sort of relying on the Americans or just about every other country now. So we need somebody in the there must be some like skilled engineers over here who can sort of do that sort of thing, you know, and keep it prices down as well. But variable voltage wise, yeah, we definitely need a UK made one. And I did actually mention that to Gary Dibley quite a while ago. But you know, he explained that you know it's so difficult to actually sort of make one of them and keep it, you know, so you can actually sort of make. You obviously want to make some sort of profit on it, but you never know, maybe in the future. But yeah, it'd be nice if we could get something like that over here.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Question from Gary actually. What is the hardest thing you have reviewed?
I don't think there's been really anything that's been particularly hard. You know, like you use something for like 5 or 6 days, and then you just sort of sit in front of the camera and you just tell people what you like and what you dislike. I've never had anything I could say particularly hard. I suppose if anything, probably juice reviews are probably I find the hardest because personally I think they're a bit of a waste of time because obviously everybody's tastes the buds are going to be completely different. And secondly, I'm absolutely rubbish at describing flavours. I mean, like, I'm surprised nobody's realised yet. Every time I do a review on a tobacco flavour, I always describe it as a smoky tobacco flavour. And if I do a review on a fruity flavour, I describe it as a nice and fruity flavour, you know. And, I can't think other people say, I can pick out the pepper, I can pick out these spices. No, I just don't do that at all. I just can't get that at all, you know. So I suppose if anything, then it would definitely be the juice reviews I find the hardest, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you 100% on that one. I find them impossible because they're subjective and taste is subjective. So it's not easy, is it?
Much.
Right, Sam, let's get as many through as we can.
Right. What is your atomizer of choice?
What's my what, sorry?
Your atomizer of choice.
If you just talking about just a standard sort of atomizer, then it'd just be a 510 or low resistance 510. They always seem to hit the spot for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I tend to use like the tanks most now, like the UFS, or like now it's the Bully or the Harry tank. You know, that's definitely my sort of preferred choice. I very rarely use just like a standard atomizer on its own, apart from in the UFS.
That actually covers a question I've just had coming in, saying, which is the best tank system in your opinion?
It's hard. I mean, like, for me, it's definitely either going to be the UFS or the Bully. And obviously the UFS has got that advantage of, you can hold a lot more e-liquid, you've got that control ring, etc., etc. And now I've got that little UFS to 510 adapter. Now I can use it on any 510 device now, and that on the Pro Vari is a really nice combination. But it is obviously quite big and cumbersome, and it's a little bit sort of fiddly sometimes. I suppose if I had to sort of say a definite, this is the one for me, then it'd be the Bully. I've been really impressed with that.
Right. Question from Mighty Mouse saying, how has vaping helped out your love life?
It hasn't really. You don't get none. No, it hasn't really had any sort of effect on my love life in any way, shape or form, unfortunately.
Oh well. Right, we've got a couple more which I've lost. Right, we've got a lot of people asking about smoke rings or how's the best way to do them? Can you give a lesson? And as we know, Rusty's curious about the mouth shapes that you need to make.
Well, probably the best thing is if you go onto YouTube and then in the YouTube search bar, if you just type in smoke ring tutorial, then you'll see like my tutorial vid there. And it's a really embarrassing video. It's shot on a really crappy old camera, and the microphone is awful, and I cringe every time I watch it. But it is quite a good tutorial in that sense. But really all you got to do is just make a ring shape with your mouth, and then just push the vapor out with your tongue. And that's probably the easiest way to sort of try and describe it. But yeah, if you watch that smoke ring tutorial, it'll be a lot better than me going like that in front of the camera.
I remember Sav watching that and trying it. And this went on for weeks.
It did. Man, I still can't do it. I would get so excited if I managed to do one. It would be like, yay! But no. A couple of questions that have also been coming in. Any news on a variable voltage crap box?
That is next in the pipeline, as well as a few other exciting add-ons for it, which I haven't yet made up.
Excellent.
No, there won't be no variable voltage. It's crack box is dead. I think that would be the last to see it.
It seems to be what you're famous for, Scott, this crap box.
Yeah. For making a crap mob. Which still works, incidentally. I do have it here, and it should still be working.
Oh, it certainly works. I saw some vapour come out there.
There's still the same battery in there as well. I've not touched that, so there's still a little bit of life left in it.
Excellent. Right, there's a question that we always ask people that come on. What do you think has been the best sort of device or battery or atomizer that's changed the e-cig market?
The 510 atomizer, but that's a definite for me. I mean, like the 901s and the 801s are good, but when the 510 come about, like when it first came on the scene, it was pretty awful, and I was having a few sort of teething problems with it. It was just running sort of way too hot, and that was at the time when people didn't really know too much about direct drip, and everyone's just trying to sort of use normal carts and that. It's just a really horrible experience. But then they, I think it was totally wicked. They sort of, I think they spoke to Joy and sorted out a load of things, and the next batch they come out, it was blinding, and that really did, for me, that really did sort of change a lot of vaping. And if you think about it now, like so many devices come with a 510 fitting as standard, it seems to be like the main one, well, as far as I'm aware anyway. So I'd definitely say like when the 510 came about, that did sort of improve vaping a hell of a lot.
Yeah. Do you prefer a box mod or a tube mod?
Tube.
Tube, excellent.
Sorry, Gary.
What's your favourite battery?
I like the I can't remember what they are now. 18500s. They seem to be a nice size. Yeah, 18500s. I think it's 1800 milliamp hour or something like that. And it gives you plenty enough vaping time. And if you use things like the GGTS or Galileo, then it just makes it a nice sort of comfortable size to hold and that as well. So that seems like a pretty good battery. Although obviously the AW high drain ones, they're pretty nice. Well, I even like the 14500s. As long as it holds a bit of a decent charge and gives a decent vape, I'm quite easy going really.
Mm-hmm.
So how long would an 18500 last you?
If it's 1800 milliamp hour, that would probably last me about 2.5 days really. 2 days, something like that. Yeah, no, about 2.5 sort of days. Again, it all depends on actually how much I'm vaping. If I can sort of try and restrain myself and keep myself just having sort of 10 or 15 drags every time I get a craving, then it will last me easy sort of 2.5 days. But if I'm sitting there in the chat room sort of vaping constantly, then it'll probably go down a bit quicker.
Yeah, because if you're like me, if you sit and talk and I vape all the time, you know, I really do. Whereas, in the days when I had a cigarette, if I was sitting on the phone, I would light one cigarette after another.
Yeah.
And vaping's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we've got any more questions before we come to the end? Because we've got 5 minutes left. Have you got more there?
We've got one more question.
Right.
I don't know who it's from, and I don't understand the question in the slightest, but it may mean something to you, Scott. I've got a feeling I know who it's from.
Sounds
but
dubious.
I didn't get the name. So the question is, Scott, how tall are you? I told Jessica you were a giant.
That's rustic.
She still thinks you're a midget.
Well, when I last measured myself was when I was about 15, and I was 6'4" then, and so I'm probably still about 6'4", maybe 6'5", something like that.
I thought that was from Rusty.
Yeah.
Yes. He's now going incognito, asking questions.
Yes. Right, I think that about covers all the questions. We've got a few sort of repeat questions that have already been covered. There's one more. Can you remember the first e-cig you reviewed?
It was the Mirage. That was the first one I ever reviewed, which at the time, saying that, to this day, I still don't know what model that was actually. It was it's slightly bigger than like an 084, but smaller than like an M401, but it wasn't like an M402 or M403. It was very different. I've still got it somewhere, but that was the first one I ever done. But then they sort of changed that model quite quickly and then moved over to the M401 about sort of 4 or 5 weeks after I reviewed that model. But that was a blinding little e-cig that was. I really enjoyed that. I loved it.
Excellent. And that's it. That's all the questions. We've got through them all, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because we had loads.
We have, and we've gone through them.
I'm really sorry because they just came so fast.
Yeah, I mean, there's one or two comments going on. They're not really questions as such. But Nyman 1969, or Nieman, however it pronounces it, has mentioned Ref 50 for a UK producer of e-cigs. And I don't think he's a modder, but he doesn't produce a great deal at the moment, does he?
I don't think so.
No.
Oh, is that a forum member, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on UK Vapors.
And does produce, the odd thing now and again. I think a lot of people... Yeah, a lot of people are put off by the fact that when they approach a company to do, for example, tubes, that I know with one particular person did that, and they said, yes, we'll produce them for you, but we need a minimum order of 100.
Yeah.
And it can be a lot of money for some people to fork out.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that holds up people, plus not knowing what the future of e-cigs are.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And I think people are frightened. They're still waiting, really, for the MHRA to come up with something quite definite and the European equivalent to come up with something. And
yeah.
I think that puts people off, don't you?
Well, I'm just more surprised, I suppose, that none of the big, suppliers in the UK, while they've not invested some money in producing their own, real top quality, especially companies like, for example, Totally Wicked, he's probably got millions in the bank, he can easily afford to go out and invest a few quid, get a really nice, proper, smart mod made up, but it would be nice.
No, that's
he
a
looked
good
into
point.
it at one point, if I remember rightly, didn't he?
Well, he had the evil weevil, but...
Yeah. I still have visions of that video where he was sitting in the bath. Oh. Not good.
Do you know what would be the best-selling e-cig if somebody could make it? Andy Sutton's musical PV.
Absolutely. I'd buy that.
I've seen that one. What's that then?
Andy did a video and he put a bit of music to it every time he drew in on this PV.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the result was everybody was convinced it was a musical PV.
We all want them now.
And the amount of people who have asked where they can get this musical PV is unbelievable.
Is that on YouTube, is it?
It probably is somewhere.
Right,
but it was him just, doing something daft.
And he was just a juice review, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was doing a juice review.
I'd definitely buy one.
And all of a sudden, everybody's saying, will you please, get something like that produced? And you think, could you imagine the fun going out and about with a musical PV?
I suppose it depends what sort of music's playing, really, wouldn't it? Like thrash metal or something, Quite a vape in a church, you might not go down too well.
Well, we've got to 10 o'clock, Scott, so it's time to wind up this show.
Well, thank you very much for having me on.
I think you've been a superb, absolutely superb guest this evening. It's been really enjoyable. You've had loads of questions. And I just want to say thank you very much, Scott, and I hope you'll come back and do it again with Sav and I.
It'll be my pleasure, mate.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So all I have to do now is say a very good night to everybody in chat. And to say thank you all for coming back. And I'm going to answer what they're saying in there. They all want you to come back as well. So thank you, guys and gals. Thank you for tuning in and for enjoying this show. And I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And I know Sav has. And I think Scott's had quite a good time as well. So we'll see you again. Tomorrow night you've got Mighty Mouse with the Ha Ha Hour. That one's going to be fun. So on that note, I'm going to say good night to everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night. That shouldn't be having any sound.
I said I'll get back. So I don't know if he's going to have the ump now, but